The Raiders have really struggled in the 2025 NFL season, and we are now at the point where players are actually calling it out. Players are actually calling out what the issue is, and I'm glad that this is happening, to be 100% honest with you guys. I want you guys to watch this video. Adam Butler is basically going to tell us exactly what the Raiders roster is essentially thinking right now.
For me personally, the mentality is the same. Just do my job. It's very frustrating. Sometimes I can't lie, when the other side isn't delivering the way you think that they should deliver. It's sometimes frustrating when we don't deliver how we should deliver, but with everything stated, everybody can see what's going on. We know what's going on. And the only thing we can do is do our job. So I just focus on doing my job and focusing on helping the team win. That's why I try to make big plays and try to make sure.
So there it is. Butler's basically putting it out there. It's very frustrating sometimes because the other side of the ball essentially is not delivering the way we think they should be delivering. Adam Butler's being 100% honest right now, and I am confident that every other player in the Raiders building feels the same exact way. The defense has in multiple games kept us close. In multiple games, the defense has stepped up and then essentially moments where the Raiders should potentially lose because the offense is throwing interceptions, the offense has all these fumbles, the offense is struggling. In those moments, it's the defense that's keeping us in these games. And the defense hasn't been perfect, and they've lost maybe one or two of these games as well. But we all know, for the most part, it's been the Raiders' offense that has lost these games. In fact, the NFL is an offensive-driven league. You look at every single team out there that's a good football team, and the offense on any given week for most of those teams can put up 30 points. The Raiders cannot put up 30 points. I don't think we put up 30 points yet this season. And truth be told, the Raiders being 2-7, they could probably be 5-4 if the offense is played a little bit better. You can blame special teams a little bit, right? You get a kick blocked against the Bears. You have a game most recently against the Broncos in which the offense ended up having some turnovers, which kind of ended up leading to the Broncos scoring some points. Now, you can go back to that Jags game and say that's the one game that the Las Vegas Raiders defense lost from, given they weren't able to really stop the Jags. But the Jags are also a high scoring offense. The Raiders offense, on the other hand, were unable to score, get that 2-point conversion to win that game. A 2-7 team right now could easily be 5-4. We could be in the playoffs right now if the Raiders are just able to win and figure out a way on the offensive side to essentially get it done. To me, the Raiders offense has lost us multiple games this season. There's even been games where the other team didn't necessarily outscore us by so much, but the offense just was not able to score points. I think we're at the point now where Raiders defensive players, Adam Butler, and I'm sure other guys kind of feel the same way. The offense is not delivering right now. We were told that when Chip Kelly comes over, when Geno Smith is traded for, when we take the best running back in this class with the 6th overall pick, when we make those investments right there, we were told that our offense is going to be explosive. It's going to be a lot better. And that's kind of what the Raiders were hoping for. Our 1st round pick, our 2nd round pick, our 4th round pick were all used on offensive players. To me, the Raiders have to do a lot better than kind of what they're doing right now on that side. And I'm glad Adam Butler is calling it out. Now, some people do have issues with Adam Butler calling it out. They're saying he should not have done that, right? Because, at the end of the day, they are teammates, right? But I think for the Raiders, and I think it's important, guys like Adam Butler call it out. I just think it's very important that the team recognize what the flaws are. And I think there needs to be pressure put on the offensive side. There's been reports recently that Chip Kelly is on the hot seat. Kind of like how Tom McMahon, who really, really struggled with special teams, you can blame special teams for a lot of these losses as well. Kind of how he was on the hot seat. People are saying Chip Kelly is as well. There's been sources, not mine, but people who have sources that have said this. And it's kind of interesting because if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't think Chip Kelly is the issue with the Raiders. You can even go back and say this is really on John Spytek for not putting more investments on the on the offensive side, maybe specifically the offensive line. You can put that on John Spytek. At least I personally would. I think John Spytek is definitely the guy you have to blame for not revamping that O-line. If the Raiders, let's say you don't have Ashton Jeanty, and let's say you just go into this season with Raheem Mostert and Zamir White, and maybe you sign another running back that's a free agent, right? Maybe it's like Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams or one of these guys. I think if the Raiders just revamp the offensive line, right? Let's say you drafted Armin Memba to play right tackle. Let's say you paid Mekhi Becton to play right guard. You put Jackson Powers-Johnson in at center, left guard Dylan Parham, left tackle Colt Miller. That unit of those 5 guys would just be, we would just be a better offense because you just have a better offensive line. And it's not even like just a little bit better. It is a lot better with those 5 guys. But again, that was making the assumption John Spytek invested on the offensive line, which he did not. So, although I do agree with Adam Butler calling it out, and I'm okay with him calling it out because at the end of the day, it is the offensive side that's struggling. And I don't think he's saying, hey, it's Geno Smith that's the issue. I don't think he's saying it's Chip Kelly that's the issue. I think Adam Butler's just saying, generally speaking, we know it's that side of the football that's the issue right now. And of course, you can get into the difference of what you think it is, and some of you guys might think it's Geno Smith, which is different than how I feel. Again, I think the biggest issue for the Raiders is the offensive line. I don't even think it's Geno Smith. I don't think it's Chip Kelly. And I say that because, we've had moments where the offense has clicked and it's scored points, right? Like against the Jags, we put up a ton of points. We're very efficient moving the ball. We've had games where we're efficient moving the ball, but then we just weren't able to score touchdowns. We end up settling for field goals. And part of that's on the quarterback as well. 100% understand that and agree with that. But part of that also is the fact that your offensive line is just not very good. I was looking at the Indianapolis Colts offense yesterday. I did a Jonathan Taylor video for my TikTok. And while I was looking at the offensive line of the Colts, it is so clear how great that offensive line unit is. Because they're just running gap-based concepts. 75% of the time, the Indianapolis Colts run power. And it just works. And the thing with power is it's a very easy concept to block, right? Basically, everybody blocks down, right? You have a guy on your inside. You block him down. Super easy block to make. You get one guy to pull and kick out. And just like that, you have a massive lane. And Jonathan Taylor is dominating right now, partly because of the Indianapolis Colts offensive line is dominating, right? So the Raiders have success and they might drive downfield, but then we get stopped in the red zone. And I think a part of that is because the offense line's not, quote unquote, dominating. We're not having explosive runs. How many times has Ashton Jeanty taken it 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, or just scored a long touchdown, right? I think it's happened one time this season. And then most recently, he had a 34-yard run called back. But generally speaking, the offense just isn't explosive enough from the offensive linemen, right? They're not doing a good enough job. So you can blame Geno Smith. I probably would not. I think Geno Smith has shown us flashes. So I'm not 100% ready to say, hey, I'm out on Geno Smith and let's get the 5th best quarterback coming out of this class. I'm not in that boat yet. Now, if you can get one of the top 1 or 2 quarterbacks, maybe I'd be willing to do that. Or more likely to do that, given you can still keep Geno Smith for another year as the rookie kind of develops and learns. But again, I think for the Raiders, it's also important to revamp the offensive line. If you swap out Geno Smith for a rookie quarterback that you take with, let's say pick 3 or 4, how good is this quarterback going to be coming into the NFL behind Alex Kappa, behind Dylan Parham, behind Jordan Meredith? How good is a rookie quarterback going to be? To be honest with you, there's a good chance you're going to ruin the confidence of that quarterback. I think there's a real chance that if the Raiders want to have success, got to revamp the offensive line. Again, I'm okay with Chip Kelly. I'm okay with Geno Smith. But the offensive line, I'm not okay with. And I love the fact that Adam Butler is calling it out because someone has to do it. And Adam Butler, man, just kind of end this video. I love Adam Butler, man. He's such a, he's a high character player. He's not out there talking crap necessarily. He's humble about it. He's nice about calling it out. And he's also a leader in the locker room. I think a lot of people look up to Adam Butler. And, he's a veteran. He's really good as a defensive tackle as well. I'm glad the Raiders kept him around as opposed to letting him walk in free agency this past year. Overall, man, love what Adam Butler is doing. Love that he calls it out. Do you guys have an issue with this? I want to know what you guys think in the comments below because I know some people do not like it. Some people have an issue with it. Let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time with another video.